I'd like to call Faye to announce our guest speakers for the evening.
Thank you. I was a little worried when they were the first ones to introduce themselves. I thought they were going to give their bios. I'm like, wait, I've been practicing all day. So I have the distinct honor of introducing our guest speakers for this evening. Jerry and Judy Bell have been living the JC Creed for over 40 years. Their JC career started in 1968, as was mentioned, in Adrian. A year later, though, they moved to Ann Arbor and transferred their membership. And so the story begins. Jerry served as the president of the Ann Arbor Jaycees in 1971. After that, he went on to be state vice president for District 29, which we now lovingly refer to as District 8. He also served as a national director for Region J, which was recognized as the #1 region in the state that year. He was also recognized when he was the editor of the Michigander, which is still a publication that the Michigan Jaycees put out today. He was recognized as #1 publication in the country. Jerry attended 8 national conventions and all district and regional meetings and was awarded JCI Senator number 18335. That's not where the leadership stopped with Jerry, though. He continued on and served on the Ann Arbor City Council from 1975 to 1981, serving as mayor pro tem from 1978 to 1981. Jerry has a pharmacy degree from Wayne State University and retired from a successful career in sales and marketing in pharmaceuticals, dental products, and occupational health services. And then there's his lovely wife, Judy. Judy was president of the Ann Arbor Jaycees Auxiliary in 1972. She also went on to serve as state vice president for District 29 and was state extensions chair, and was recognized with a life membership into the Ann Arbor Jaycees Auxiliary. Judy professionally is Ann Arbor's 15th District Court Officer, and for the last 35 years has been serving civil process. What I think is most impressive about these two individuals is not their commitment to the Jaycees or to the community, but their commitment to each other. They've been married for 50 years, have 2 daughters and 2 granddaughters. So please welcome with me Ann Arbor Jaycees past and present, 2 leaders who truly helped create our legacy, Jerry and Judy Bell.
Well, thank you. I don't know how you memorized all that, but you had it word for word. Exactly the way I said it. Great. I want to thank you for inviting me here this evening. Back in my prime, I could have given this address from memory, but as we get older, we lose some of our skills. So I ask you to forgive me for having to read most of this evening. Well, it's been 37 years since I had the opportunity to address the Ann Arbor Jaycees. I never thought I'd have the opportunity to do this again. This is a great honor, and I hope I can share with you a little bit of history, what the Jaycees mean to me, and maybe a leadership story, one that I've always wanted to tell. It's a wonderful thing about humankind. As we get older, we look back at our roots and we wonder, where did we come from? Why we try to reconnect with our past. Many of the old-timers here in this room, as was mentioned, get a smile on our faces each July when we pass the corner of Stadium in Maine and see that carnival. We remember when long ago we all worked on that particular project. 3 years ago, I was in the hospital for 3 months. I was in a coma for 6 weeks. I should not be here this evening talking with you. But when I woke up, I reflected on the good things in my past, and none were better than the 8 years that I spent in the Jaycees. In January 1968, as a young pharmaceutical salesman for Eli Lilly, I called on Morrison's Pharmacy in Adrian, Michigan. This is where I had just moved to from the city of Detroit. The owner, John Morrison, asked me what I was doing that evening because he wanted to take me to a JC meeting. Well, needless to say, I joined. The president, Tim Ullman, must have recognized some leadership potential in me because he became my JC mentor and close friend. He encouraged me to get involved by chairing projects, attending all district, regional, and state meetings, and awarding me with the Spoke Award, which I guess is similar to your Springboard Award. That fall, I was promoted by Eli Lilly to the hospital territory in Ann Arbor. Jim took me to the state fall board meeting, which was held that year in Sault Ste. Marie. He introduced me to a large delegation of Ann Arbor Jaycees that were also in attendance. One of them happened to be Tom Bletcher, who was here this evening. In January 1969, I transferred to the Ann Arbor Jaycees. The first project I worked on was the aforementioned Home and Builder Show. This was a very large project. It took over all of Yost Sports Arena, which today is the building where the U of M ice hockey facility is at. We had over 100 home improvement businesses set up booths for 5 days. I sold advertising for the very large program. We worked the show and the auxiliary manned refreshment stands. The public bought tickets to attend, and they came by the thousands. At the Jaycee election meeting that spring, they had 7 board members nominated. They needed an 8th. So I turned to the guy next to me. His name happened to be Jim Aldridge, and asked him if he would nominate me for the board. And he said, "Sure. What's your name?" I was assigned the chapter management portfolio. The 1969 President Tom Niswanger told me he wanted Ann Arbor to be the #1 chapter in the state. I knew that would be impossible. But thinking ahead, I thought, aha, in a couple of years I'll be president, and then maybe it'll be possible. Well, in 1971 I was elected president, and we were not #1 because we had a lot of administrative problems that we had to fix. But I knew we could be the near future. We had to learn to work together, and we needed that burning desire to make it happen. My slogan for the year, Tom, was "Together we will," similar to yours. That year, we ran some outstanding projects, such as Jobs for Youth. We provided summer employment for 373 needy high school students. They earned over $35,000 for their efforts, and it was named the Project of the Month by the United States Jaycees. The Pig Bowl. That's what we used to call the cops. A football game between the Ann Arbor Police Department and the Washoe County Sheriff's Department, the sheriff's deputies. The game was held at Rynerson Stadium, and we raised over $15,000 for needy children at Christmas time. The Jaycee newspaper for handicapped children. We published and sold a special edition of the Huron Valley Advisor, which was a weekly newspaper. It was sold on the city street corners, similar to Detroit's Goodfellow newspaper. We raised $1,200, which was used to help purchase much-needed research equipment at Mott's Children's Hospital. Over one-half of the chapter worked on this project, which really brought us together. Together we did. In 22 days, we arranged and promoted a very controversial rock musical. It was held at a sold-out Hill Auditorium. We co-hosted it with the U of M Ecology Center, and we split the $10,000 with them. I called it my project of the year. It was actually called Jesus Christ Superstar. We also ran the Soapbox Derby, Junior Champ, Front Pass and Kick, all of these for the city's youth. We took over the 5 Domino's pizza stores for the day. We made, sold, and delivered pizzas, and we made a net profit of $1,000. We raised money for and shut off the spirit of 76 4th of July fireworks. This is just a few of the 80 projects in 95 committees that we had that year. The difference between the Jaycees and other service clubs is the providing of leadership training through community involvement. My friend Don McGee told me the other day that projects are just a vehicle to allow young people a chance to learn, to become leaders, and grow as a person. During my year as president, I also had 2 leadership training highlights that I would like to share with you. One morning I saw an African-American man picking up trash at my neighbor's home. I approached him and told him I also needed his services. And while he was at my house, I invited him to our next Jaycee meeting. He did not believe me that I wanted him to join, but he did. I told him if he had any ideas for projects, we would back him. He came to our board meeting and wanted to build a neighborhood park near his apartment. We taught him how to fill out a planning guide, write a budget, raise funds, recruit committee members, and speak in front of the city council to acquire the property from the city. That park is Forsyth Park, named after the first president of the Ann Arbor Jaycees, and the one that this chapter, I believe, annually cleans up. Clinton Smith went on to become the Ann Arbor Jaycee president in 1977. Although the park was started in my year, it was dedicated in Don McGee's year. When I first met Don McGee, he was a truck driver for a car parts distributor. Don McGee is a guy everybody likes. We became good friends, and I decided to become his Jaycee mentor, just as Tim Ullman had become mine. I encouraged him to run for my board and become part of the leadership team. I saw the leadership qualities in him that the Ann Arbor Jaycees needed. The next year, I was elected state vice president, it was said, and then national director from this area. Since it's always spoken about, I just skipped that part. Meanwhile, Don McGee served as Ann Arbor's vice president twice and as parliamentarian. In 1974, he was elected president of the Ann Arbor Jaycees, and I was appointed the state Jaycee publication, the state editor for the Jaycee publication, The Michigander. I really should have been elected the state president, but working for Eli Lilly at that time, you needed permission from your employer to run for office. And Eli Lilly said that they would not do that. I told Don that if he did his part as president, that I would do my part in helping him become the #1 chapter in Michigan. Don did do his part in every aspect that is expected of a Jaycee president. And I extended 3 new chapters for Ann Arbor. We extended the Whitmore Lake Jaycees, the Cassie Lake Training School Jaycees, which is a minimum security prison in Chelsea, and believe it or not, we extended a chapter at the University of Michigan, the University of Michigan Jaycees. We went to the state convention and won the Henry Giesenbeer Award. We also won the first Bill Otto Award, which I understand was the first of 4 that Ann Arbor has now won. And we also went on to the National Convention in Miami and won the Clarence Howard Award for the top metro chapter in the United States. And Don received the Martin P. Luthi Award as one of the top 5 chapter presidents in the United States. Not bad for an ex-truck driver. Don went on to become sales manager for one of the top 5 automobile performance companies in the United States. Don, one more time. Stand up. Oh, and by the way, the Michigander was also named the #1 Jaycee publication in the United States. Wetsu! You may not believe it, but we seniors understand that times have changed. Some things are not the same as they were 40 years ago. That said, I believe that humankind's needs never change. As editor of the Michigander, I wrote an editorial each month. These editorials are as relevant today as they were in 1974, and this is a sample. Giving another person the opportunity to become a Jaycee is one of the most satisfying activities available. Watching a person learn to grow and use their abilities, expand their personality through the Jaycees will make you proud and fulfilled. Let your chapter offer them the individual development programs and watch them grow. How many people have you offered the opportunity to become a Jaycee? When's the last time you asked someone to join? How many new Jaycees will you recruit this year? Are there any young adults in our community that have never been asked? Is there someone you know that should be asked? Just think of the millions of young adults' lives who have been touched by the Jaycee movement. Next time you hesitate before asking that young adult person to join, remember that you may be doing him the greatest favor of their life. All you need is a deep, abiding faith and belief in the Jaycee way of life, as set forth in the Jaycee Creed. You must have a sincere desire to share this belief with others and give them an opportunity to become a Jaycee. Get enthused, get excited, turn yourself on, then ask the first young adult you meet to be a Jaycee, and then the next person, and the one after that. It works. In 1974, while extending the Whitmore Lake Jaycee chapter, a brand new one, I saw 2 guys go out and recruit 35 Jaycees in 10 days. Let's spread Jayceeism like wildfire. Return the favor. What, Sue? From time to time, the Jaycees revert back to calling themselves the Junior Chamber of Commerce. I dislike the name because I do not believe that we are junior to anybody. We are not affiliated with the Chamber of Commerce. And the word commerce implies we are a group of young business people or a professional group. I would hope that the Jaycees are open to all young adults from all walks of life. Otherwise, we would not have heard the stories tonight about the trash collector and the truck driver or at Forsyth Park. People do not join the Jaycees for leadership training. And probably only a few join to work. They don't join to work on community projects. Some join for business contacts. What they all join for is fun and fellowship. The old-timers here tonight would not be here if it was not for the Jaycee experience where they had all this fun. And did we have a lot of fun? Yeah. They will all tell you about it tonight at the Afterglow at the Red Robin. So the leaders must find each new member's hot button, make them feel part of the Jaycee family, provide them with that fun and fellowship. It's not so much in the recruiting of members that counts, it's what we do with them after we get them. We must remember that Earth's great treasures lies in human personality. Other proofs of leadership training from my time is that I had on my board 4 young men that went on to become presidents of the Ann Arbor Jaycees. Also, 6 Jaycees that served on the city council: Lloyd Fairbanks, Lou Belcher, myself, Mark Wimet, and Cliff and Ingrid Sheldon. Back. 2 were mayors: Lou Belcher and Madam Mayor. Mark Wimet is the current state representative for the 52nd District in Michigan and is running for re-election. Another member was Mike Yost. He has served on the Howell City Council for 10 years, and he was their mayor for 4. Mike? The highest honor a local chapter can bestow upon its members is a JCI senatorship. Less than 1% receive this honor. So for one more time, can I please have all those senators here tonight please rise and be recognized. Senators? Now we went around and I was going to kind of introduce some of the people that are here, but we've already done that, so we skipped that part. But there is one special thank you that I'd like to give, and that is to Rick Wyde, President 75. Rick, stand up. He was really responsible for getting, I think we got 15 of us old timers here tonight. So, Rick, years ago, we had 2 organizations with 2 opportunities for leadership training. The other organization was the Ann Arbor Jaycee Auxiliary. They ran their own projects and supported the Jaycees and many of ours. Both organizations tried to include our entire families in as many projects as possible. But it was the auxiliary that provided the setting most of the time for our families. I will tell you that we are somewhat surprised to see all the kids here tonight. And I think it's absolutely a wonderful thing, because I think that part of the Jayceeism is having the family work together. Back in those days, however, I had 2 daughters, and I have to share with you that the 2 of them attended 3 of the 8 national conventions that Judy and I attended. My daughter Susan, who went to the 3 conventions, was even a member of this chapter a few years back. And there she is, Susan. As you can see, we still bring our kids to meetings. My wife Judy, as mentioned before, was president of the auxiliary in '72, and she served on the, as a state officer for 2 years. I think it's time now for maybe Judy to say a few words. Maybe she can share with you a few of the projects that she ran during her year. Judy?
Jerry, tell them what Watsu is. You said it twice, but nobody knows what it is.
I might say it a few more times. I might say it a few more times. I'm not done talking. I need the last word, right? But I gotta cede this for a few minutes to my wife. Judy?
Thanks. Thank you for letting us share your evening. In fact, I was listening all night. It's bothered me all day today. How am I going to say us old folks, us exhausted folks, or whatever? But somebody said something, us aged out Jaycees. Thank you for having us. Since part of my evening was supposed to be introducing the presidents, past presidents, and whatnot, I'm out of the water on that. Then I had my notes, and I thought, since Jerry has had the floor for so long, I left my notes home. So you're in luck. I am not going to go on and on. But I did want to mention a few of the projects that I remember, particularly during our years in the Jaycees. We had a red bulb. It was a thing in the window, and if there was a fire in the house or something, they would hit the kids' rooms first. Helping Hands was always already alluded to. We had SIDS. We did a SIDS project, Sudden Infant Death Syndrome, letting the public be aware of what was going on. Babysitting clinics, Toys for Tots. That was a holiday event, and that was so much fun. See the merriment and the laughter and whatever in these children's eyes that didn't have anything, and we were able to at least give them a good holiday. We got in on the ground floor with Dr. Feller at the burn unit at U of M Hospital many years ago. We helped supply his area. That was very interesting. Dr. Feller was a wonderful person. That's about all that I can remember. We had a lot of parties. I'll share one thing. I shouldn't, but I don't know if you guys have travel trophies where you go to meetings around in the area and take things with you when you travel. Well, many years ago, we woke up one morning after our Jaycees had been to a travel meeting, and we had a goat in our, we had a fenced,
A sheep.
excuse me, a fence that was attached to our garage. That wound up, the kid said, Mom, you know there's a sheep in the fenced-in area? What's that? They named it Geraldine Ding Dong. They had taken it from a farmer when they weren't supposed to. Thank you for having us. It's wonderful. And I wish I was your age again.
There's a lot more to the Geraldine Ding Dong story than I care to talk about now, but if you ask me at the Red Robin, you can. And the other guy you might want to ask about it is Jerry Rosinski and Don McGee, because they were part of that at the time. Well, for all of us, we must look back and remember how the Jaycee experience was made possible. Judy and I need to thank John Morrison, who asked me to become a Jaycee, Chin Wallman, my first president, who gave me the encouragement to become a leader, the Andover Jaycees, who have worked with us, for us, supported us, and presented me with a most cherished JCI centership and my wife a life membership. We will always remember the Jaycees and what they have done for us, and especially to Henry Giesenberg, who founded the U.S. Jaycees and enabled millions of young people the same experience that we all have had. Remember to always believe in our JC creed, think positive, participate, have fun, and wetsuit!
Urban Dictionary.
Jerry and Judy, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing your past activities. And I'm sure we'd all like to hear more at the afterglow about the sheep and everything else. It's going to make for quite a story, I'm sure. Next up, we have some announcements. Dina Fry cannot be here tonight, but she wanted me to remind everybody to please insert their member-to-member messages on the website for the crier for September, and those will get in there. Next, we're going to move on to awards. And I have a couple of presidential pins to hand out tonight. And the first pin goes to an individual who worked pretty tirelessly to execute some of the biggest projects this chapter has. They've done an amazing job and doing it all while traveling for work quite frequently. And I'd like you to please congratulate with me your Community Development Director, Josh Hunt. My second presidential pin goes to somebody who's really stepped up this year. He's worked hard behind the scenes to make sure that a lot of projects have run and run successfully. And he's provided a lot of leadership, and he's been around for quite a while, and we appreciate all that he does, but I wanted to recognize him specifically tonight. So please congratulate with me the man known only as Scotty, Mr. Scott Chisholm.